As the pandemic nears its end, we are finally getting back to normal. We are going out to movies again, we're going out to restaurants, we're getting vaccinated, and most importantly, we are reconnecting with our families. There's one family that COVID cruelly ripped away from us when we needed them the most. That's right, the Toretto family from the Fast and Furious franchise. Now, a lot of critics are actually saying that this movie is really boring, that they're running out of things to crash into, that it's getting old watching the franchise try to top itself movie after movie, and it's all more of the same stuff. Well, guess what? I don't care. So when I was in college, my roommates once had money to burn on their meal plans at the end of the semester, and we bought a small Carvel ice cream cake 2 weeks in a row every single night. And not once was I ever like, oh, this cake is getting so boring. It's more of the same. I miss how grounded this cake used to be the first few times that we got it. No, these Fast and Furious movies are like Carvel ice cream cakes. So just keep them coming. Now, I'm gonna go into this recap assuming that you have some knowledge of the previous 8 movies, or at least know about 30% of the characters' names. I can't expect you to know every character or plot point because that would be hypocritical of me. As I am watching these movies, I am actively forgetting what is happening and what they are doing. So the movie opens on a race car driver speeding down a track, and the title screen says that it's 1989. The driver's helmet says Toretto, which is Vin Diesel's character's family name. Vin Diesel as Dom Toretto can be anywhere from 30 years old to 60 years old, and we would have no way of knowing. So I don't know if the flashback guy is meant to be Dom's dad or brother, at least until the end of the flashback. The friend I saw this with leaned over and said maybe it was Dom's son, so she was definitely viewing these movies in a way that I could not even fathom. Then the driver dies in a fiery explosion and Dom is screaming for his dad, so mystery solved there. Apparently his dad did not carry the surviving fiery explosions gene that Dom has inherited. I would suggest that he inherited this superpower from his mom, but I actually don't think Dom has one because while having daddy issues is really cool and manly, having mommy issues is lame and pathetic. Fast and Furious forward to the present, and we're on some kind of farm with Dom, his wife Letty, and Dom's son Brian. In the last film, Dom had named his baby after the late Paul Walker's character Brian, which was odd since Brian the character was still alive in the series. I would be super weirded out if my friend named their baby after me for no reason, especially since several of our other mutual friends have died throughout the course of the series, including the baby's mom. I bet she's just up in heaven, drinking a Corona, just like, hey, remember me? I died to further your man angst? At least give me a middle name or something. Who the hell is Brian? So then there's a scene where Letty and Dom put Brian to bed, and Brian asks a question about God, a little weird, which Dom easily makes about himself, and lets Brian know that God and Dom will always be in his heart. I think this is supposed to make us believe that Dom might die later on in the movie, but it's difficult to buy if you know that Vin Diesel contractually cannot lose a fight in this franchise. Letty gives Brian a cross necklace and an extreme choking hazard to sleep with that night. It's extremely apparent throughout the movie that Letty is not on board with stepmothering baby Brian, which is fair, but I don't think she should try to kill him by giving him a really sharp necklace to sleep with at night, but whatever, I'm not a mom, so. I mean, I'd be pissed too if my 60-year-old husband brought home a baby and was like, we're parents now, pack up your East LA wardrobe and buy a pair of overalls because we're moving to the farm. So Roman, Tej, and Ramsey, all characters throughout the series, basically, show up unannounced with a new mission for the family. They explain that Mr. Nobody's plane has been hijacked by rogue agents and is missing along with the captured villain Cypher. It's okay if you're confused because I literally don't remember who these people are, even though they have been in previous movies. So luckily they show us a picture of Charlize Theron and a video of Kurt Russell, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're in these movies, but I guess Kurt Russell's not really anymore. The plane was also carting a really scary new prop that is very important, but we don't know what it is yet. Here's a quick suggestion. Maybe put your terrorist and your scary plot device prop on different airplanes. Dom gives us a half-hearted, we're retired line, but the next morning they're on their way to Montecito to investigate the downed plane. There are no bodies, and I guess there's no love lost for Mr. Nobody, played by Kurt Russell, since literally no one cares if he's alive or not, and we never look for him for the rest of the movie. Our resident hacker, Ramsey, finds a lockbox containing the scary plot device and is able to hack into the lockbox in about 1 second. So, okay. It looks like half a cube circle thing, so obviously we're gonna have to track down the other half and turn it into a full circle. The device is called Ares, like the god of war, which they specify for the audience in great detail. I would have been mad that they had to specify that. I'm not stupid. I know who the Greek gods are. I know who the Greek god of war is. Thank you. But I actually thought they were talking about Ares like the horoscope, so, egg on my face. They get attacked by some typical action movie no-names, and there's a cool scene where we drive through a minefield, but the Dorito team drives fast and furious enough that they are basically able to use the mines as weapons. Poor Letty is driving a motorcycle in a tank top and no helmet. She definitely should have been killed 100 times over, especially when she's catapulted at least 100 feet up in the air. Luckily, Dom is there to catch her with the hood of his moving car. So I know when I'm falling from a great height, I'd rather fall into the hard, unforgiving metal as opposed to the cushy jungle ground. Letty and Dom are confronted with a car being driven by none other than John Cena. Now, we know John Cena is going to be in these movies because of the trailer, but I was still pretty excited to see that really square head of his. There's a super homoerotically charged glimpse between Cena and Dom, but Letty totally cock-blocks them by asking, "Was that Jacob?" And Dom gets pissed and drives away. I'd also like to say, the entire time Dom is driving through minefields and gunshots, he is just super chill. He has one hand on the wheel, and his face never changes. The other day, I accidentally cut someone off trying to make an exit, and I cried in my car for 20 minutes, and I made this face. Meanwhile, Ramsey, Tej, and Roman destroy the rickety bridge that's obviously not meant for cars by driving their car over it. They fail to mention over the comms that they have destroyed Dom and Letty's one escape route out of the jungle, but it's okay because Dom figures out a way to hook the car's fender up to one of the bridge's wires, and he uses it to slingshot his car around an entire mountain and onto another island with the car more or less intact, like all superficial damage. I have done more damage to my dad's car just trying to make a 3-point turn outside of our driveway. So the family regroups. Dom explains that Jacob is his brother. This revelation somehow does not make their interactions any less sexually charged. I'd actually agree that it makes it more so. Also, for the rest of the movie, several characters point out how it's so obvious Jacob and Dom are brothers. That's supposed to make us forget that they literally look nothing alike. If someone in this movie kept holding up an orange and was like, "This is an apple," and the audience was just like, "Okay, for the movie's sake, we'll pretend it's an apple, but it's very clearly an orange." And then the apple and orange have completely different facial structures, but that's fine. So now we get another 1989 flashback with a pretty solidly cast baby John Cena. He and baby Vin Diesel also look nothing alike. The apple and the orange are there to look at the wreckage of their father's car. Jacob runs into a redneck who is immediately antagonistic towards Jacob. He calls him the useless son, and he blames his dad for his own demise, and I'm pretty sure it's a day after his dad died. So Dom shows up and throws a lukewarm insult at the redneck, and the redneck is all, "Well, at least I'm alive." Oh my god. Who talks that way to a bereaved person? This man is operating at 1,000% redneck evil, and I kinda love it. Dom loses it, obviously, and beats the crap out of him and has to go to jail, which in my opinion is totally unfair. In jail, he gets to work at the prison garage, where he learns from a couple of convicts that there is a way to do something to your engine or car or whatever that the racers use to throw races. So we kind of suspect that Dom's father did this with his car. When Dom gets out of prison, he confronts Jacob at a race war. This is, in canon, what they call these things. If I were in the writer's room, I maybe would have tried to stop this, but I wasn't, so they're called race wars. Dom gives Jacob an ultimatum. If Dom wins the race, then Jacob can come home. I don't know where he was before this, but now he can come home. And if Jacob wins, he has to keep driving and never come back. Dom accuses Jacob of killing their father by cutting the line, or whatever it was that throws the race, and Jacob doesn't deny. He just stands there within kissing distance of Vin Diesel and looks really mad. Obviously, Dom wins because even fake Vin Diesel is not allowed to lose. This is not how the flashbacks happen chronologically in the movie. I just can't really remember when they happen in the movie because I was just like, along for the ride. Back in the present, Mia shows up. I completely forgot she was Dom's sister, which means she is also Jacob's sister. I always think of her as Brian's really boring wife, but she's here and she's all, I'm Jacob's sister too. Okay, tell it to the flashbacks in which you stand there and have no lines. Look, I don't want to be a traitor to my own gender or anything, but if Mia stopped appearing in these movies, I wouldn't miss her. I almost kind of wish they'd replace her at this point with a fun animal sidekick, like a chihuahua or a parrot. It can be a girl chihuahua or a parrot, I don't care if that helps. So, Ramsey explains to the team that Ares is a program that when both halves and some kind of key are combined, it will control the weapons system all over the world. And I actually wouldn't be worried if Jacob got a hold of this program because he really doesn't look smart enough to figure out how it works. But I don't know, everyone looks really concerned. Jacob has one half of Ares and the other half is in Edinburgh. The key is revealed to be somehow connected to Han, who technically died in movie 3. In movie 6, we learn that Jason Statham, who is the villain of movie 7, killed Han. This is kind of hilarious because Jason Statham became a part of the family in movie 8 and even got his own spin-off called Hobbs and Shaw with The Rock. Fans were kind of mad because no one in the Toretto family was ever like, oh hey, remember that time you directly killed our only Asian friend? But I mean, the way Statham killed Han was by driving a car into Han's car. So in this universe, that's kind of a love language. So now we get to see what Jacob is up to. He has a new sugar daddy named Otto. Otto is insufferable. He is a little daddy's boy with deep pockets, and he has an indecipherable European accent. Otto and Jacob are the ones that took Cypher, the villain from Mr. Nobody's plane, and they're keeping her in a clear hamster cage. And I'm sorry, but her haircut is absolutely insane. I couldn't even follow why Otto was keeping her prisoner in the hamster cage because I was so distracted by her hair. The family splits up. Dom goes to London to find Jacob. Mia and Letty go to Tokyo to find the key. And Roman and Tej go to look at a rocket car. When Dom is in London, he gets arrested because Otto and Jacob call Interpol. But it's okay, because it wasn't really Interpol. It was just Cardi B running a SWAT team of really hot ladies. And I don't mean it's an actress who looks like Cardi B. I mean it's literally Cardi B. I would have given anything for them to stop cold in the middle of the movie and give Cardi B a performance, preferably one where she sings about driving cars really fast. I mean, if it's good enough for Bette Midler and Hocus Pocus, I think it's good enough for F9. In Tokyo, Mia and Letty learn that Han is alive, to no one's surprise, because they give that away in the trailer. And he has an adopted daughter named Elle, and they have a really cool fight scene, and then Han does nothing for the rest of the movie. They turn him into a real Mia. So Tej and Roman talk to 3 new characters about their rocket car and recruit them to the team. It wasn't until the end of the movie when my friend leaned over and was like, wait, aren't those 3 guys from Tokyo Drift? And yes, they are! I find it a little arrogant of the director that I'm supposed to remember who these people are, especially since they were in one of the Fast and Furious movies that Vin Diesel wasn't even in. Dom, Ramsey, Tej, and Roman end up in Edinburgh to look for the second half of Ares. But Jacob and his merry band of soldiers are there too! Through a series of mishaps, Ramsey the hacker must drive the bad guy's truck that's been equipped with a giant magnet, which actually makes for a really cool chase sequence. But Ramsey reveals she can't drive! Twist! At this point, in the many years of working with the Toretto family and none of them have taught you how to drive, I think you can assume that they actively hate you. Ramsey is comically terrible at driving to the point where she can barely start a car. For a world-class hacker, you think that she'd be able to figure out the mechanics of a small standard truck, but again, I don't know anything about cars, so I don't know, maybe they're really different to hacking into nuclear missiles. During the chase, I estimate that she has killed at least 1/4 of Edinburgh. During this magnet chase sequence, the family captures Jacob and bring him back to their secret bunker. Meanwhile, Otto has a heart-to-heart with Cypher, wherein he explains that they're actually the good guys. Okay, look, That might have been true in the first Fast and Furious movies when the Torettos were just like stealing combination VCR DVD players and robbing banks, but they work for the shadow government now and dismantle nuclear bombs. So anyone working against them definitely are the bad guys in every sense of the word. So back at Family Toretto headquarters, Jacob seethes from his prison cell as he watches Dom and his family get along without him. They learn that Han's ward Elle is actually the key to Ares, since it's her and her parents' DNA that unlock the device. And Otto's henchmen are here to free Jacob and steal Elle. Jacob takes this opportunity to tell Dom that he didn't actually kill the father. Their father was apparently in a ton of debt and asked Jacob to tamper with the line so that he could throw the race. I'm sorry, and I, again, don't know anything about cars, but there must have been a less dangerous way to throw a race, like, I don't know, drive slower? Also, why didn't Jacob say any of this to Dom when Dom confronted him back in the race war in 1989? Jacob said that's because their dad promised Jacob to never say anything to Dom, but hello? I mean, I don't think that promise counts anymore if you're dead. So Otto's henchmen are kind of bored of the family drama, and they're ready to shoot some people, but Otto is all like, no, we got the key, we don't have to kill him. I mean, why? I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but you should probably kill the people that have been foiling your plans from the start. I don't know. Maybe they are the good guys. I think their kill count might be less than the Toretto families. Things are looking dire for the Toretto family until it's magnet time, and they turn on the magnet and they get the upper hand. They pretty much all get away really easily except for Dom and Letty, probably because Dom can't really run. He just sort of like lumbers everywhere. So they get to the door to escape with ample time to get away, and instead, Dom pushes Letty through the door and locks it so that he can stay back and fight. It's at this point I'm pretty convinced that Dom is actually a straight-up supervillain. He decides that instead of easily escaping with no lives lost, he must stay back and kill all of these henchmen in violent and brutal ways, which lends more credence to the Otto and Jacob are good guy theories, So the space he's locked in starts to fill with water, I think because a pipe burst. I don't know, I like blinked for a second and suddenly Dom is like drowning and he falls down several stories into the cold, dark deep where he sees his life and his son flash before his eyes. But Letty gets in somehow and saves him because she's not a Mia. She gets to do stuff. So Jacob and Elle are activating the device while driving in a really giant armored truck that kind of reminds me of a centipede, while Otto has Cypher launch a satellite into orbit from her hamster cage. The device needs the satellite to work, so you know what that means. We're driving into space. The director has threatened to do this for the past couple movies, and it's finally coming to fruition. Tej and Roman fly a Pontiac car with a rocket attached to the top into space, and I could not be more excited. It's up to them to take down the satellite while the family is back on boring Earth, and they're trying to rescue Elle. There is another really cool magnet car chase sequence during which Jacob learns that Otto has double-crossed him and is now working with Cypher. Yeah, duh. So Elle gets rescued and Jacob escapes with the help of Mia, but he returns to help out in the climax of the chase sequence because that is what apple and oranges in a family do. Dom and Jacob work together to vertically flip over the giant armored truck, which is actually seriously awesome, like visually. They're able to get inside the upside down truck, where Ares has uploaded 99% of the weapon program to the satellite, and everyone's like yelling at Tej and Roman to hurry up, like it's so easy to fly a Pontiac in space. I don't know why they can't destroy Ares now that they are like directly in front of the circle device thing, but I mean it doesn't matter because the Pontiac takes out the satellite in the nick of time. Cypher is out of her hamster cage, she's super pissed, and she's driving a helicopter via drone, I don't know when that was set up, and uses it to take out the armored truck and the Toretto family. But Dom is able to drive the truck in such a way as to crash the helicopter and escape the truck mere inches away from the explosion. Not only should his skin have burned and broiled off his body, but his white tank top is absolutely immaculate. Those surviving fiery explosion genes are really with him today. Cypher slumps away in defeat, so I'm sure we'll see her again. And Jacob reconciles with his siblings and leaves town since he is technically a wanted terrorist. The family meet back in East LA, where they belong, not on the farm, for a good old-fashioned Corona-sponsored barbecue. Tej and Roman are pretty much over their trip to space, which is insane. If I had driven a Pontiac into space, I would be on every talk show available and catering book deals. But the family wait around the table for adult Brian to arrive, which I think is sweet and also a little weird. Like, intellectually, we know it's impossible for Paul Walker to show up, but for like a split second, my lizard brain was like, oh my god, they brought Paul Walker back. We're gonna see him. I'm gonna see a ghost. That's the beauty of Fast and Furious. You spend so much time suspending your disbelief that you literally forget ghosts aren't real. And that's F9. The running time was about 2.5 hours, which I usually hate. I am staunchly in support of movies being 2 hours or less, but this movie really flew by, or drove by. Since they finally got to space in this one, I'm pretty sure the next logical step is time travel, so I can't see what's in store for Fast 10. Maybe like a Jurassic Park dinosaur crossover.